Okay, question number 7. There were a number of questions submitted addressing issues that fall under the topic of city development code. Please name at least one strength and one weakness you have seen in our current development code. Consider speaking to topics such as code enforcement, issues resulting from the dissolution of the Ranches HOA, building and design standards, infrastructure, and enforcement of developer agreements. So I'm going to say one of the strengths that we have is our building and planning department, and along with that is our community development or code enforcement. It used to be code enforcement, but now it's like better community. So Mike Millay, and I know they just recently hired a new part-time person to help him out, but Mike is amazing. I met with him and just had some questions because I know a lot of my neighbors, because we live in the Ranches area, were really scared of what was going to happen in the Ranches if the HOA dissolved and what that meant to our property values and how things are going to be taken care of. And I just asked him, I said, how are you going to do this? What happens if somebody does have a complaint? And he told me that what he does is he typically will go by that home and try to figure out what's going on. So if the lawn's getting a little long or if there's weeds or something like that, he'll have a conversation with the homeowner and say, is there something going on? What can we do to help? Or I noticed that you had, your garbage can out for a couple of days, or whatever, and try to get to the bottom of it and try to help them solve their own problem without any kind of punitive or fine. So that's one thing. The big weakness that I see right now is probably more along the lines of enforcement of developer agreements. We have so many gigantic NDAs, and not all developers are created equally. Some are awesome and they do everything that they're supposed to, and they put that road in and they foot the bill and they put the park in and they do what they're supposed to, and some kind of drag their feet waiting to be like nudged along to do what is right. And the real problem is there's no perfect system in place right now to track that, to say, okay, before Plat 2 can be approved, this park needs to be put in, or this improvement needs to take place. And I met with Steve Mumford recently, and he said that there's a new software that the city's investing in to kind of track some of those things. So hopefully we can get better at tracking that. I also would love to see when a resident is moving into the city, if they could type their proposed address in and see with that address all the documents that are related to that. So any links for minutes from city council meetings from those approvals, any MDA, any parks that are planned by the city, any things that are agreed upon, and just be able to buyer beware. I don't think the city has any obligation to hold their hand and teach them that, but I think that way, if you're looking into a home, you could go and say, oh, there is really going to be a park here, or oh, this builder is full of beans because there really isn't going to be a park there. So I think that would be helpful. So anyway,